Hey, what's up everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail.io.
And this is Jack from Emails That Sell.
And today for the first episode, we are going to look at a very simple question. Is cold email spam? Let's check it out. So, Jack, tell me, let's start with the definition. What is cold email?
A cold email is simple. It's just reaching out to somebody that you don't know through email, of course.
Okay. So let's go and look at spam. So what is spam?
Spam's a little different. So cold email can be spam, but it doesn't have to be. So spam, yeah, that sounded confusing. But here, so there's two definitions of spam.
Okay.
There's like a general one that, you and I probably already know, and everyone listening. And then there's a legal definition.
Right.
Which one do you want to hear?
Yeah, let's start with the general accepted one then.
Okay. So generally speaking, spam's an unwanted email. It's junk. It's garbage in your inbox. It's the emails that just make you sort of smack your forehead and report spam, hit the report spam button and just sort of get mad at Google for not filtering that one out.
It's the one I click every day, for you.
Oh, exactly.
Oh, yeah. So what's the second definition?
The second definition is the legal one. It's a little bit more complicated, but it depends which country you're in and which country you'll be contacting through cold email. But here in the U.S., the CAN Spam Act defines what a spam email is, and we won't dive into it now, but it's essentially just a framework. If you don't follow their rules, it's spam.
Okay. So I got a good idea of how you consider or what you consider being spam and what you consider being cold email. So can you answer the question, is cold email spam then?
Right. So it can be. And a lot of the cold emails that are in your inbox or spam folder right now, they're probably spam, and same goes for most people listening, is most cold emails probably are. But a good cold email doesn't have to be, as long as it does two things. One, it helps out the reader, and it's relevant to them. And two, it follows that country's spam laws. If you do those two things, then you won't have to worry about sending a spam email.
Okay, but let's say, so I got that. So let's say now I'm sending emails, and they are helpful, and I follow the CAN spam, but the prospect still hit that, report spam button. So is that spam?
You bet it is. Yeah, it is 100% spam. At the end of the day, you don't get to determine what's spam or what's a helpful email. You do the best you can possibly do to send awesome cold emails, but it's up to the recipient to mark you as spam. It's up to the mail service providers to figure out if your IP has been bouncing a ton of times. It's really not up to you. You just have to make sure you've done everything that's in your control to give yourself the best chance to be sort of a treat for that recipient's inbox.
Got it. So, yeah, I got it. So cold email does not always equate to spam. But can you, for listener, can you actually give some example where cold email can be really helpful?
Sure. Okay, so in general, imagine, if we're not talking about email for right now, just imagine if you see me, Jeremy, on the side of the road with a flat tire, and you walk up to me out of the blue. Yeah. Yeah. So if you just, walked up and offered, to help out, that would be, very relevant, very helpful, something that I would appreciate. Cold email is a little bit like that in that, you want to find people who you can help out and start a conversation around their needs. So let's check out some examples. All right. Let's say I'm going to Chicago and I want to network with a few other startup founders. I can send a cold email that invites other founders to join me for coffee while I'm in their city. If they're interested in networking like I am, then boom, that's a helpful email. Let's take another one. Let's say you're an AdWords consultant and you come across a terrible ad on Google. You know that they're bidding for a really expensive keyword. You know that their ad copy's terrible. They're linking to a bad landing page, whatever. If, a short conversation or maybe even an email could could save that company a ton of money on their ad spend, then there's a good chance that they would like to hear from you. So reaching out and maybe offering to share a few ideas on a short call would be a welcome email for that company, whoever's paying for that ad.
Does that work everywhere? That approach?
It does, but just keep in mind that there's laws around email, around marketing in every country. So if you're a U.S. business contacting other U.S. businesses, then just take a look at the CAN-SPAM Act. If you're in other countries, then you'll just have to do a little bit of homework and find out their specific rules around sending cold email.
Okay.
That's all available, with a Google search. They're very public about them.
Okay. What about quantity and frequency? Does that actually impact the definition of spam?
Okay, so you're saying if you send 10 emails a week or 10,000 a week, would that maybe flag you as a spammer?
Or one every day or stuff like that. Does it actually change or increase my chances of being spam, for example?
So quantity and frequency isn't going to determine whether or not you're sending spam, although it may impact it. It's a quality over quantity game. And what I mean by that is it's much easier to send a helpful email to 10 people than it is to send a helpful email to 10,000 people. The more people you end up reaching out to, the less likely it is that your message will still be relevant to them, which at the end of the day probably means that they're more likely to hit that report spam button on you, making you a spammer. Now, for frequency or the number of emails that you end up sending each prospect, same thing goes. I will say it's harder to send 10 emails that are wanted, relevant, helpful than it is to send a couple. So just keep that in mind and you should be good.
So that looks like I want to try cold email now, but I still have the nagging feeling that what I'm sending is spam. So what can I do to overcome this?
Okay, if you have a nagging feeling that you're about to send a spam message, then it probably is a spam message. So take a couple step backs. I mean, there's a reason why you're going to be hesitant to press send. So it's up to you to sort of do your homework so that you know how to write an email that the person who gets it will appreciate. So if you're feeling a little bit wary, before you hit send, do a little bit more research on who it is that you're contacting and why you reached out in the first place, the call to action you're asking that person to take, and reworking those things should help you feel better about pressing send. At the end of the day, it should really be this message is about to make that person's day. And if you don't feel that way, you're probably taking the wrong approach.
All right. Awesome. Sounds good.